Wholistic Vitality Energy Healing. www.holistic-vitality.com.
Is Carl. Nicolle has asked me to talk a little bit about my healing journey, and it started in 2006. I was diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer, and I was told that I would need to have some major intervention within 6 months. So it gave me a little time to explore possibilities. At the time, I was married to a healthcare practitioner, actually a university professor. And so she knew a lot about medicine, and so she kind of instilled in me that there's only one way to go, and that's, University Hospital, Colorado University Hospital, and meet with the teaching professionals there, get their opinion, probably get a biopsy, and it'd be best to go with what they know how to do. And so I did all that, and so I was scheduled for surgery and had surgery in April of 2007.
Okay.
And then my cancer came back pretty quickly and very aggressively. It had gone, after the surgery, my PSA, which is the marker for prostate cancer, PSA stands for prostate specific antigen. And so if that's 0, that's a good thing. And if it's anything much above 0, that means it's recurred. So it started recurring in about 2 or 3 months. And within, I would say, 6 months, it had become very high, the point where they were recommending a follow-on treatment. And so I was prepared for the follow-on treatment that was thought most beneficial would be radiation. That's pretty standard, I think, in the industry. And so I was given a hormone deprivation treatment to block the pathway for testosterone production, because that feeds prostate cancer. And that did. It knocked the cancer down by a factor of about 10. And then I was given 32 radiation treatments. I had to go every day. Well, not every day, 6 days a week. I got Mondays off. I took Mondays off so I could continue to go skiing. And then that, knocked the cancer down to 0, undetectable. And it stayed 0 for quite some time, for several months. And then the next problem was passing blood in my urine. It happened passing blood in urine first. And so that went on for, it was pretty mild at first. I think I actually first noticed it at a ski resort right after a full day of skiing. And then it went away. And then no problem for a few weeks. And then again I started passing blood. And obviously I kept my oncologist informed of all this all along the way.
Right.
And when it got to the point where it was getting very significant, she recommended hyperbaric oxygen. And that is where you're put in a chamber at 2.5 atmospheres of pressure, breathing pure oxygen with what looks like a diving helmet. And so I had 40 of those treatments, and it completely cleared up that problem. And by that time, I was also starting to pass a little blood in my stool. But it cleared up both of those. Cleared it up very, very effectively. And it's never come back.
Okay.
But the cancer came back. The HVO, my cancer was up to 0.05, which is just above the threshold of detection. But after the hyperbaric oxygen, it was undetectable again.
Okay.
So it did two things. It cleared up the bleeding, and the bleeding was a manifestation of the radiation.
Okay.
The radiation causes a lot of scarring, and that causes bleeding, and so the hyperbaric oxygen heals all that very effectively. So that wasn't directly related to trying to treat the cancer. It was more treating the treatment, the cancer treatment.
Mm.
Cancer treatments tend to snowball like that. I understand.
Yeah.
So then it was probably a couple of years after that before the cancer started becoming detectable again. Let's see, I had my treatments in January and February of 2011. And then I would say by 2012, about a year after that, it started becoming detectable again. And then it has slowly continued to increase until I started Reiki treatment. And then it has slowly begun to decrease. And it's taken about probably a year and a half for the Reiki to get it to the point where it's undetectable.
And how often were you doing the Reiki sessions?
I started doing them every week, and my cancer reduced about 50% after about 4 months of doing it every week. And then I elected to go to once a month, and so it's taken probably a year.
Yeah, because you've been seeing me for a year for once a month.
Go to all, it's still detectable, but it's almost undetectable now. And then I also had a blood test, let's see, just a week and a half ago for CEA, carcinogen embryonic antigen. And so the body produces these antigens when you have any kind of cancer cells that are in the blood. And if the level is 20 or higher, it means metastatic cancer is very likely. And if it's below 3, then you're healthy with no cancer. And mine was 1.9. So that means there's no risk of metastatic cancer, a long way from that being a risk. And my primary cancer is still localized and at the point where it's almost undetectable. So thank you, Nicolle. Diet may have had something to do with it too. I had been tracking the progress of the recurrence, and I also went on a vegan diet, and that slowed the progression.
Yeah, diet definitely helps.
Diet definitely helps, yeah. Mm-hmm. And not just vegan, I mean beer and French fries are vegan, but healthy vegan, high nutrient vegan.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of raw, at least I probably eat between 60 and 70% raw, but everything is plant-based and everything is whole food. I've almost completely eliminated processed food and all animal products. And I've been doing a lot of research on nutrition and how it's related to cancer. And so I've cut out everything that is cancer promoting, and I eat only things that are cancer inhibiting.
Yeah. And what would you say the quality of your life is right now with all of that?
Well, I went skiing yesterday and had a great day. So, you know, all through this whole cancer journey, there's never been a time except for after surgery when I couldn't ski. And the day before I had surgery, I went skiing.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, you know, after I got out of the surgery, boy, I'm not going to be skiing for quite a while.
So what makes you...
It's really knocks you down. Prostate cancer surgery is a major surgery. I was in there 4.5 hours.
Wow.
It's pretty major stuff. And so it was probably, it was the following season before I could ski again.
What about your state of mind? How do you think your state of mind played a role in your journey as well?
Well, the whole cancer journey led me back to Mile High Church.
Okay.
And that really reboots your spiritual journey for sure. And it was a result of Mile High Church that I went to see John of God in Brazil.
In Brazil.
And that's a very, very, very deep spiritual experience. And a lot of the treatment they do there involves massage, and hands-on healing, charged water.
And the crystal light therapy too.
Crystal light therapy is very big. Crystal light therapy and deep meditation. The meditations there go on for 4 to 5 hours. And actually they use meditation as part of the healing process. They have maybe between 50 and 100 people all meditating together to produce the energy that the actual healer uses to direct to the people being healed. Now the actual healers are not incarnate beings, they're spiritual beings.
Yeah.
And then, and I've been through the meditation experience there, and at the end of the meditation, the people who are praying with us, praying for us during the meditation, tell us that at the end of the meditation, the entities want to come in and pay back because we have provided the energy for them to do the healing. And it is an absolutely overwhelming experience. You have to be helped out because you're in such an altered state of consciousness. A person actually has to help you out because you're in such a blissful state.
Yeah. That's cool.
And we get to a place sort of like that here, not quite as deep, but you have to understand when there's 50 to 100 people all meditating together, and there's all these spiritual entities, dozens of them, all adding to the energy, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's very deep.
Now I have...
But we can recreate that partially here. Nicole's very good at that.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I have one more question because I do believe in looking at the potential cause to things.
Yes.
So what do you think the cause would have been to your to getting prostate cancer?
Yeah, a lot of it's diet. I was eating a lot of foods that promote cancer. And being diagnosed with cancer in 2006 means it probably started growing 20 years or 30 years before that. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole lifetime of lifestyle that creates
the environment.
Serious disease like cancer. So lifestyle and diet are the major contributors. There's a lot of research, University Medical Center research that has been done on that. And so, alcohol and a lot of processed food, not getting enough raw whole plant food. We tend to have these meals, we go out and barbecue this huge steak, mm-hmm. We have this huge baked potato, and we have this little itty bitty salad. So that's kind of upside down. It needs to be the other way around, maybe a little tiny bit of meat and kind of cut out the starches and have a huge plate or a big bowl full of raw salad stuff.
Okay.
So the way I eat now is, all raw breakfast. I have ground seeds, nuts and whole seeds, homemade almond milk, homemade cashew milk, which is really yummy.
Sounds good.
And so that's the kind of things I have for breakfast. In between breakfast and lunch, I'll make a juice, an apple carrot juice like I had today.
Okay.
3 apples and probably half a pound of carrots.
I do love carrots.
It's really yummy too.
Yeah.
And then for lunch, I use a big mixing bowl, and I about half fill it with. Today I had bok choy, romaine, celery. Just whatever, some kale, some chard. Just chopped up, mixed together, and I put sauerkraut on top of it.
Fermented.
It's a
Probiotic.
prebiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's a probiotic. I guess there's probiotic in it
Because
from the
it's
fermentation
fermented.
process. And then I pour some of the liquid in, and that makes the base of the dressing. I don't use commercial salad dressing because it has a lot of ingredients not listed on the label, which are cancer promoting. So bottled salad dressing is out of the question for me. And then I put in nutritional yeast. I put in sea vegetable flakes. Sometimes I didn't today, but sometimes I put in a little unsweetened yogurt to make it more creamy if I want a creamy dressing.
Yeah.
But today it was just basically the sauerkraut and the liquid from the sauerkraut, nutritional yeast, the sea vegetable flakes, a little bit of turmeric. A bit of turmeric because that's very cancer inhibiting.
Yeah.
I think that was about it for the salad dressing. But there's a lot of other things I put in. Sometimes I put in basil, ground basil, and other rosemary is really good, and just seasonings that are very cancer inhibiting.
Now, for you, besides for causation factors, besides physical, lifestyle, and diet, do you think there may have also played a part of emotional or mental connections to it as well?
Always, that's a big part of it. I don't want to talk about that because you're making a video out of it.
Okay. But you would validate that as to be a big component.
That's, well, like I say, this cancer started 20 to 30 years ago, and back at that time I had a very happy life, so...
Lifestyle-wise anyways, but I mean leading up to the actual... where it occurred, do you think that there may have been a trigger emotionally or mentally that may have stimulated it?
Probably not one single event.
But a couple.
Maybe, that's always a component, I suppose.
Yeah, just for the sake of...
Going into the details of
we don't need to go...
might be, I really can't do that.
No, we don't need to go into the details, but I just wanted to see if you would find validation for that as a factor that you may have experienced.
Probably not. Maybe one specific thing that would have led to it.
Okay.
Maybe led to...
or helped promote it, or add to the connection to it.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay.
Actually, maybe there was 3 or 4 things.
Okay.
That all could have added to it. And I think it's really important to have a good sense of self. To prevent something like that, and also to recover from something like that. It's good to have a good sense of self, a high sense of self-worth is very important, and to have a high sense of purpose, self-purpose. Those are all very important on your healing journey.
And the healing purpose, the healing journey, yeah.
Yeah, those are all very important. I was at Mile High Church. I was exposed to the book Radical Remission by Dr. Kelly Turner, and in that she has 9 chapters, and each chapter is one component that she found common amongst all of the people she studies who had what was called spontaneous remission. She found that there were over 1,000 cases in the medical literature of people who had experienced spontaneous remission. The ones that she was able to interview, she found out it wasn't spontaneous remission, it was that they radically changed their diet and lifestyle. The component of having supportive friends and family is really key. People who will go along with whatever treatment you select. And another important component that kind of goes along with this is using your intuition. And you really have to search inside. And if you feel that surgery is right and it's going to be a key component in your healing, then you need to be surrounded with friends who are supporting that. And you need to get your family members who are supporting you on your side if you elect to do that. They might be arguing for something else. You have to win them over to what you're doing if they're going to be there with you during the surgery and after the surgery. It's very, very key to have people supporting you, people who are on your side.
Do you think that works also on the flip side of, say, not just with surgery, say if they seek alternative medicine or alternative...
Yeah, whatever, a lot of people who have cured themselves of cancer, and it's you have to remember, it's you who cures yourself. It's not your doctor.
Yeah.
It's not the treatments. It's not the surgery. It's you who actually heals. The body heals itself. The body is a healing machine. So it's important to use your intuition, and your body will tell you what is important. And I got some indications in dreams that were, if I had known how to interpret them at the time, I would have maybe gone a different path. But people who elect to not have chemo, for example, and radically change their diet instead, have lived with very serious, almost, what they say is terminal cancer. They've lived 20, 30, 40 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they relied on their intuition, done in what we call as an alternative treatment, or done an alternative lifestyle change, and had, very positive results. So another really key is a positive outlook. Having a positive outlook, and thinking, well, I'm gonna heal myself. I'm gonna get over this. That's very important. You have to really believe that, and you will if you really believe it.
Yeah.
And negativity is something you want to get rid of, and there's a lot of ways of doing that.
What would you recommend?
And Nicolle can help you with that.
The Reiki, yeah. I think so. But do you think that's what helped with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, what I did is I went back to Mile High Church. I had gotten away from Mile High Church is not so much of a church as it is a healing community. It's very deeply spiritual. They have a lot of classes there that teach you how to change your thinking. And the motto is change your thinking, change your life.
I agree with that.
It really works. That really works. So that's a very good resource, and they provide you with a large number of other resources, authors who have healed themselves of extremely serious conditions. One example is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He was in a very serious car accident, told he would never walk again, told that he would have to have metal rods in his spine. He decided to heal himself using positive outlook. Now he walks perfectly normally. He travels all over the world giving lectures. He's written several books on how to heal by changing your thinking.
Yep, I agree with that.
And so it's very powerful. Having a positive outlook is very powerful. Getting rid of all the negative emotions. And forgiveness is really big. That's a very negative...
the lack
of forgiveness, and the guilt and the shame associated with it, the anger and the hatred, all those things are very negative emotions, and what that does is in the brain is releases chemicals that are detrimental to the body. So
because it feels bad.
Holding on to those negative emotions is illness promoting.
Yeah.
It may manifest as diabetes or heart disease or cancer or even the major diseases. So it's really good to learn how to work through those. And Nicolle is a great resource, I have to admit. Nicolle is one of the best resources I've found for helping you with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And let's see, of the 9, I think we've touched on most of them. Radically changing your diet is big. Finding out what types of food promote your particular condition is important, and finding out which kinds of food promote your health.
Do you have any books or resources you would personally recommend that is more comprehensive?
Sure. Well, Kelly Turner's book is probably the best place to start.
To start? Okay.
And she has a lot of resources. And so, that's a good place to start. And just from her book, you'll get a couple of pages of resources. From those resources, you get another couple of pages of resources, and on and on and on. I have found a couple of good resources that I saw on public broadcasting, on PBS, Channel 6.1. Mark Hyman was one of them. He's a great resource. He is one of the 3 physicians supporting a very large group going through healing, 15,000 people at Saddleback Church in California, along with Dr. Amen and Dr. Oz. We all know Dr. Oz from TV. So those 3 gentlemen are great resources. Another one is, let's see, what is his name? Dr. Joel Furman. He gives a couple of lectures every year on PBS. And he is advocating what he calls a nutritarian diet. And he says that health is equal to nutrient density divided by calories. So if we eat mainly nutrient-dense food and avoid food with low nutrient density, then we'll have good health. And he said it cures and reverses virtually any chronic disease. Reverses heart disease, diabetes, very effective. He's had patients who have reversed their diabetes just within weeks. He's helped people with heart disease reverse their heart disease in a matter of months. I think almost any chronic disease you can think of, he has helped people reverse the condition using what he calls nutritarian diet. And he also advocates lifestyle changes. He said that's very important too. The spiritual component, the loving support of friends and family, positive emotions, and all those things Kelly Turner talks about in her book. Another great resource is Dr. Dean Ornish. All these people I'm giving as resources, they're all medical doctors.
Cool.
Dr. Dean Ornish he's covered by insurance. He's one of the alternative practitioners who is fully covered by Medicare and 3 of the largest insurance carriers in the United States. And his specialty is heart disease. He actually cures people of heart disease using all non-invasive methods.
Cool.
Focuses on diet, yoga, meditation, and those kinds of things. And all the things that Kelly Turner talks about in her book, those 9 things. So those are probably the best resources I have found. Oh, I have to mention one more. One more MD.
Okay.
His name is Dr. Michael Greger. The last name is spelled Grger.
Okay.
And he has a website. All these people have websites, by the way. Dr. Kelly Turner, Joel Furman, Dr. Oz, Dr. Evan. They all have websites. Everybody I've mentioned has a website. And so does Dr. Greger, and he has a website called nutritionfacts.org. And it's all about what he does is reviews every single medical journal published every year that is related to reversing chronic disease. Thousands, I think in one year, over 15,000 medical papers. He has staff, of course. He doesn't do it all by himself. He's a physician, he's a university professor, and he's a researcher. And he also travels around the country doing lectures. He's given lectures on TED Talks. He has a daily video. A lot of people have blogs. He has a daily blog. And most days it also includes a 2 to 5 minute video on a particular subject of the day, all related to nutrition,